Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball. We are back and better than ever. Yesterday at Build, wow, we had some really big announcements. One of the top 5 was Microsoft Fabric, and we want to welcome you to the pre-show for the big digital event that is getting ready to happen in just 1 hour. I'm excited. I know you're all excited. One of the things you want to make sure you do is when we sign off, you go over to the link aka.ms analytics at build digital event. There we go. There's the banner, aka.ms analytics at build digital event. It's a crack staff that we got back there. I appreciate you, Josh. You're good, man. At the top of the hour, this is the link you want to go to. We will be simulcasting this digital event on Guy in a Cube, on the Power BI YouTube channel, on the Azure Synapse Analytics YouTube channel. Make sure any one of those channels, you are in the right spot. If this is the first time you're finding us over here at Tales from the Field, give us a like and give us a subscribe. Do you want to interact with the broadcast? It is so easy to do so. We are streaming on Twitter under the accounts of SQL Balls, Niraj Jafari, Josh Ludeman, Tales TF the Field. We are also over on LinkedIn for SQL Balls. And of course, we are streaming out of our hub at YouTube, the Tales from the Field channel. If you make a comment on any one of those streams, one of my amazing co-hosts will find that comment and they will add it and you will be a part of the show. And before I get any further, let me introduce those co-hosts. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Josh Ludeman, and he's got more moves than a dancing caterpillar. Your friend and mine, Niraj Jafari. We are also joined by some old friends and some new friends. Mr. Adam Saxon from the Power BI Cat team.
Whoa. Fabric Cat now. Fabric Cat.
Ooh, that's cool. That's new. Okay, so Adam Saxon from the Fabric Cat team, one half of the world famous duo Guy in a Cube. I am joined by Mr. Bradley Schatt of the Azure Synapse Product Group. And
hang on.
Oh,
also Fabric Cat.
Also Fabric Cat. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so Mr. Bradley Schatt of Fabric Cat, just like Mr. Adam Saxon. Okay. Mr. Bradley Schatt from the Fabric Cat product group, and Cal Yella. Cal, I'm not sure where you work anymore, but I was pretty certain before this that it was the Azure Synapse product group.
Whoa, no. Fabric Cat.
Fabric Cat. Well, we are joined by the Fabric Cat product group, Mr. Adam Saxton, Bradley Schatt, and Cal Yella. So great to have you with us, gentlemen. What's going on?
Great to be here.
Anything happen recently?
No. What are you talking about?
Another week.
Yeah.
Another week in the life.
Just another week.
We got a long weekend coming up. That's great.
Ooh, I am excited about a long weekend. That's good. So I guess what we should probably do is we should probably get to talking about Fabric, the reason that we're all here, right? It's this wonderful thing that's been announced. And I'm going to hit you with the hard stuff right away. Adam, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. And I'm going to ask the question everybody is asking online.
Yep.
Does this mean Azure Synapse Analytics is going away?
No, it's still going to be there, right? Look, there are a lot of customers still using it today, and that is something that will still be there for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take time. Fabric is in public preview, right? So a lot of customers won't even want to move production level items to that until it's generally available. And so Azure Synapse Analytics is still going to be there for a while.
But we have a lot of customers who have built amazing large environments out of Azure Synapse Analytics. And Bradley Schatt of the Fabric Cat team, I'm going to go to you and I'm going to talk about this. I mean, there's a lot of use. People have invested in this in a long time. So what they need to understand is if they're already working in Azure Synapse Analytics, everything they've done is completely valid, right?
Yeah, we're not gonna we don't flip the switch yesterday at the announcement and say, all right, yeah, everything that you used to do over there in Synapse, that's all null and void. You know, we want you to still be able to continue to work on the Synapse side of things, continue to go down that path right now. We're going to continue that platform, as Adam said. And you're actually going to see some stuff later today that shows you how you'll actually be able to continue to leverage that investment in the future. So, specifically on the data warehouse side in Priya's session today, you'll see some stuff about how you'll actually in the future be able to take advantage of your existing dedicated SQL pools here in this new Fabric environment. So lots of cool stuff that's going to be discussed. But yeah, certainly all those investments that you made are still going to be useful in the future.
Excellent. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's really fantastic to hear. And Cal, you had actually, when we were prepping for the show, you had mentioned something I think Brad's alluding to, which was mounting. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So naturally, when we're going into this, Fabric world, Fabric era, as we call it, people have questions about, okay, so what do I do with, all the investments I made into Synapse Analytics or, other kinds of investments already made. So that's where this mount comes into play. So where we are working on getting a way to smoothly transition slash migrate from those existing investments as smoothly and as painless as possible. And that's where this mount is going to help to have those ideally you watch out for more announcements on that, how we are going to do those, and we'll be working with customers on helping with those mounting, as we call it. But basically being able to mount or virtually make that data available through Fabric, so you can actually start pulling the data into Fabric and working with the data in its where it is. So all that is possible through this mount functionality that we are working on. Stay tuned for more.
Excellent. Excellent. I love it. This is great stuff. So I guess my next question is, and I'm just going to go round robin with each of you, if it's okay. Adam, since I put you up first, I'll put you up first again. What part of Fabric are you most excited about? And I think I was specifically told I have to ask, what gets you weak in the knees?
Spools of cloth. Absolutely. No, for me, look, I'm a Power BI person. That's my passion, and Power BI is still there. It's part of Fabric. And so the direct lake concept, which I think drives into the bigger point here of just one copy of data in the lake that can be reused for all the different analytical engines that are there inside of Fabric, and just taking Power BI to the next level from a performance perspective. So I'm going to go with that.
Excellent. Well, and so real quick, Peter Daniels has chimed in, and Peter said logical late via mount. Very, very cool. Agreed. That is an absolutely great one. I'm going to go back over to Bradley Schatt. So Bradley Schatt, great name. Good looking man. It's in the name, I could tell.
No Captain America shield though.
You know what? Maybe that's a Christmas gift.
You can't make it too confusing.
Maybe a Thor's hand, or I've got Stormbreaker in the background.
Well, we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll see if we duplicate our setup.
Yeah.
I what part of what gets me excited is moving to a world where I get to watch all of my coworkers who have just spent years and years doing nothing but database work be forced into a world where they now have to look at Power BI. I think that's going to be really entertaining to watch them try to all build reports and everything. But for real though, I think it's the thing that's I think is really fun about this environment and really exciting is that we're trying to knock down a lot of barriers for entry. You go over into the Synapse world today and you spin up a new SQL pool. It takes 5 or 10 minutes to get started. You go and you spin up you want to do a Spark notebook. It takes 5 or 10 minutes to spin up the cluster. Here in Fabric, you're just going to be able to go get started. You're not going to have to wait for all this stuff. So it really does make it a lot more accessible for everybody to just go in there and start using the tools. And the other piece on top of that is just, again, in the spirit of making things easier for everybody, you don't have to worry about data distribution and building statistics and indexes and all that kind of stuff that you have to go do a bunch of reading on in the Synapse world today. It's all super important, but for those folks who are coming more from a Power BI background or just from a data modeling perspective, they're just going to be able to go in there and load data and get insights into stuff. They're not going to have to worry about all that stuff, and we're going to take care of a lot of that. So we're knocking down a lot of the barriers to entry for people to get in there and actually get insight.
And Brad,
love it.
one of the things I saw that was exciting yesterday, and I'm hoping y'all are doing today, which I know you all are doing today, is the speed at which it was returning the queries, like how quickly they were loading billions of rows and then able to go query those billions of rows instantaneously just after loading it. So that barrier to entry has kind of been reduced, right?
Yeah, there's been a huge amount of work that's gone into the engines to be able to optimize performance directly over top of the lake. So, that was one thing that was really awesome about Synapse serverless, was you could just load data into the lake and go query it. But the performance that we're getting on it in Fabric is just insane. And like Adam was talking about, you just put it in there. You don't have to do anything else to get it into your Power BI report. It's just going to be fast too. So yeah, there's a huge amount of excitement around the performance gains over top of the lake there.
Nice. So Cal, how about you? What is it that you're most
So
excited
real quick
about?
though, my observation there is I think Brad is a lake house guy, or like he likes the lake.
He
That's
does
my
like the
takeaway.
lake. Oh,
That's going to cause don't tell Patrick about that, because he and I had many arguments over data lakes versus data warehouses for a long time.
That's funny.
I'm moving more in that direction.
All right.
that's all right. He's busy today. He's busy. So
Yeah.
All right. So where do I start? How about everything about Fabric? Well, but I had to pick something. So how about not needing to do any data duplication? I mean, really, working with customers for so many years, I've seen the challenge of, where customers need to pull the data into different silos and into different formats and use different engines for different functionality to get the performance and functionality they need. It's a mess, right? It eventually gets as a mess. But here, so we are talking about one lake, keeping the data in one place, in one format, Delta Parquet, and then use your favorite engine, be it SQL, Spark, ADX, whatever. So you can actually consume the data from one place. And we are not even talking about just keeping the data in your own in Azure cloud. We are talking about even beyond, like using functionality like shortcuts to be able to pull the data from other. For those of you who have seen demos and presentations yesterday, so you know what I'm talking about, being able to get the data from Amazon and eventually Google. So there is nothing like this, right? So you keep the data in one place, in one format, and use your favorite engine to run the analytics. That's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and Cal, I'll agree with you on that one, because for me, being in data warehousing and business intelligence for as long as, at least I'll speak for me on this respect, that we evolved, from data warehousing, and then there was self-service business intelligence to democratize it for everybody. And one of the leading problems there was having separate siloed copies of it. So that ability to consolidate that into one area, I agree, that was one of those, one of the points for me that just jumped out and went pop, and is a really positive thing it brings.
I'm on a customer advisory board for the University of South Florida, and we recently met. And one of the things that we discussed, and a lot of the attendees said was a major issue, was also having multiple disparate silos of information, especially when it comes to gathering information for large enterprises or even small businesses for understanding their customers, their integration, and the way all the data is separated. The capability to then have those systems have everything in that one location. That's going to be key and massive. And it was really impressive to see how many different suites of products that this goes across. So Adam, there was a question that we saw popping up a bunch yesterday. And I'm going to throw this one to you because I saw it on one of your tweets, specifically the answer to this problem. And it was, what happens if I'm trying to sign up for the preview, but I don't see, or I don't have the capability to sign up for that preview?
Yeah. So the big thing right now is we're in public preview, and the decision was made for that to be turned off by default. So if you're an existing Power BI customer and you go into the portal on day one yesterday for Microsoft Fabric, you would still you'd see a UI update, but you'd still just see Power BI only. And so there is a tenant admin switch. The admin has to opt in. That's going to be the beginning of it right now. I believe I want to say till July 1st. And then so within that period, you have the option to set that, whether you want it on or off. And then if you don't do anything on July 1st, I believe it goes public at that point, and then it will be available if you don't do anything. The nice thing about this also is that you have options here for testing and leveraging Microsoft Fabric. Is if you turn it off at the tenant level and you do have a capacity, you can actually go to the capacity and enable it for just that capacity. So now you can actually specify, look, I only want to use it. Maybe I want to start with a proof of concept or something like that to validate what's going on before I send it out to the masses.
Well, and when I was looking at the some of the admin portal settings, it looked like it was possible for you to also grant it to specific groups. So if you didn't
Yes.
want to allow it for the entire organization, you could say specifically this group's going to do a POC on it.
Yep.
They can have it.
Absolutely. So, but also understand those new workloads, though, they do require capacity. So you have to have that available. The other great thing that's there as well is that instead of like the premium per user trial that was there before, is now you actually get a capacity trial for 60 days. So it's like everyone can get a capacity now. So that's amazing.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So Brad Chat, I see you having a great conversation with Peter over on YouTube. So I'm going to switch to you real quick because Peter had said, how does, hold on, let me click this. Stop clicking the button. Whoever is clicking the button. How does a medallion architecture look?
That's doing a great job.
My bronze and silver lake houses and gold BDW.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of interesting architectures out there. So as far as where do we put in a medallion architecture, where do we put bronze, silver, gold? Will we see customers that do bronze and silver in a lake house and then do gold in the data warehouse? Absolutely, because the nice thing about this environment is we can bring whatever skills our team has to the table. So if your data engineering team is mainly Spark based and they want to put bronze and silver into a lake house and do the data transformation and clean up with Spark, let them have at it. And then you've got that data warehouse team that traditionally has the SQL skill set and they want to work in a traditional SQL engine, then sure, go put them inside the data warehouse. The nice thing about this again is that we can query across all those different data sets. So whether you've got it in the lakehouse or the warehouse, everybody's going to be able to use still that one copy of the data and reuse each other's work. So bronze, silver, gold in the lakehouse, bronze, silver, and then gold in the warehouse. I think we're going to see all kinds of different architectures out there that are all very valid.
Yeah, it is that flexibility, right? So before most of the common choice was like, so keep bronze and silver in data lake, and then but for gold, you may have to bring it up into a managed tables in data warehouse, which is again a silo, and then work with that data. Then maybe keep part of the data in data lake for to duplicate the data for other querying through other engines. So you don't have to do that anymore. So you have that flexibility of like what Brad mentioned. You can keep your bronze, gold, and silver layers in data lake in one lake. Process the data, bring it into silver, process that, bring it into gold, and then use different engines to query that and manipulate the data, keeping it as where it is without pulling it into a data warehouse or a manager tables or anything. So that's the flexibility. So your medallion architecture is going to be even more flexible now based on your needs. You can maintain that bronze, gold, silver layers as you want without again duplicating the data. So that's gold, no pun intended.
And I'll also add that I think that brings another aspect to this that has traditionally been hard in the past, is when we think about data scientists and what they can actually go against from a data perspective, is even if you want to follow that medallion layer, it enables the data scientists. So like if they want to go against that silver layer, it's readily available for them, or the gold layer. depending, regardless of whether they want to go against a warehouse or the lake house or whatever, or even go back and circle into the Power BI data set that's using Direct Lake and feed that back into from a data science perspective.
Nice. Yeah, and in one of the nice things I thought of too, when Peter brought up this question, and then Brad, you kind of transitioned this a little bit too, was one of the questions I'd been hearing is like, okay, great, new Microsoft product, it's going to make my life better. Now do I have to learn a whole new set of language and skills? And that was something I kind of wanted to highlight in what you said, is that it's using SQL pools, it's using Spark, it's using a lot of those tool sets that I think a lot of us already have as developers. It's just giving us a more like conveniently packaged way to do it. Would that be an accurate
one place, one data, one lake, all of those things just wrapped up in a bow?
Just one.
And Peter said, so awesome, I'm kind of emotional. It is gold. It really is.
Yeah. It's really cool that it brings all these different workloads together. I mean, like you're saying, Josh, it's not just the skill sets that we're bringing together. It really is all the workloads. Like, I know it's not something, this group here necessarily talks about quite as much, but even with like real-time analytics and being able to do things with Kusto and look at streaming data all in the same place. All the data science stuff Adam was just talking about, that's all accessible to them on top of the streaming data in Kusto now too. So we're opening up a whole new set of possibilities there.
So Brad brings up Kusto also. I saw a question on, it was either in Twitter, no, it was in Arun's session at Build yesterday, where someone asked the question is like, well, how does Azure Data Explorer fit into this? And the answer is that Kusto is one of the engines inside of Fabric. And so when we look at that real-time analytics persona, like that's where you're going to see the Kusto items. And so that's part of Fabric as well.
Well, when I was at SQL Bits, Patrick and we did a presentation specifically on how.
I remember that.
I was going to say, if you know how to write T-SQL, you know how to write KQL.
Yeah.
And the really fascinating thing is, I found one of the KQL explorers within Fabric, and I was able to use Explain with all the T-SQL statements I had to be able to pull the same results from the data sets that I already had living in Azure. And it was fantastic. I was like, oh, well, this just shortcut everything I needed to do to be able to set up this demo, get it running, to now be able to transition this over to a Fabric demo of how you use KQL to be able to use T-SQL to be able to get insights about your data. And obviously people think about KQL and they think about Data Explorer, Azure Data Explorer in the realm of real-time streaming. But it is ridiculously fast with large data sets when it needs to read those and come back. I mean, petabytes of data that you can query and return aggregate result sets back within seconds. Do you see this level of integration with Fabric opening up things like Azure Data Explorer to be used by people who may not have considered it beforehand?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
I was going to say, anybody who wants to.
It should, definitely open up, right? I mean, it definitely is going to open up things. I mean, other thing that a lot of tweets going around yesterday was administration portal, right? I mean, people are excited of that whole admin portal that you guys built up.
Wait, when you say admin portal, do you mean the admin monitoring?
Admin monitoring, yes,
Okay.
the monitoring
Yeah,
part
that's
of it.
different.
Yeah, that was a lot of tweets also on that part of it also.
Yep. So.
And I'm trying to remember the individual's name, and I apologize to her for not remembering. But going over the data science portion, one of the things that I was excited about was we're providing those data scientists a coding opportunity, and also for DBAs who have utilized Spark and they tried to use Spark with SQL Server, Spark's coming to the Fabric. So now DBAs that were excited about Spark, which we know quite a few of them, they're going to be able to start using Spark for data science within the Fabric framework. So that was kind of exciting for me to hear as well, that all this integration into the One Lake and being able to share that information across our entire organization, our tenant, right? So.
Well, going back to Brad's point about the Azure Data Explorer, and now that it's in Fabric, more people will be aware of it and maybe start leveraging it. The other thing to remember with that, it leverages OneLake, right? So it's still one copy of the data. And so you can use it with the Kusto engine. You can use it with Data Warehouse. You can use it with Lakehouse. You can use it with Power BI. It's all one copy of the data.
So Adam, while I've got you on the main stage, Peter had a question. I'm curious about Power BI data marts, how they fit into the discussion. I know very little about them. CrossDB works with them too. If we choose that for a gold for our serving layer.
Yeah, the Power BI data marts it was in public preview for a while. And so Power BI data marts, you can still use them. I think the positioning for that is more Power BI data marts will be more centered towards like more the citizen developer, people that want to just stand up something quickly. Whereas if you're looking at it more from the pro developer side of it or the IT side of it, that's where the data warehousing engine is really going to take front center.
Gotcha. Excellent.
So, and there's gonna be more information coming out about that and to understand what those things are.
So, sorry, and let me find myself. Sorry, I was so far down on the list. So a lot has been presented about Fabric being a SaaS service and it being SaaS. Does anybody want to talk about what SaaS is versus what PaaS is and help us understand how that relates the description to Fabric?
I'll let Cal or Brad take that one.
All right, we're going to flip a coin for Cal and Brad.
Unless they don't want to, and I can take it.
I'll let you go, Brad.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Brad. It's all you.
You're the winner.
Yeah, I'm the winner. All right. So SaaS in this world essentially means we're, again, knocking down some of those barriers for entry. We're going to take on the burden of doing even more than what we were doing for you inside the PaaS world. So, traditionally you would still have to, again, worry about all the maintenance and everything on all of your data, whether that's inside the dedicated SQL pool where you have to do indexing and maintenance, or whether that's over inside your data lake, where we've got to worry about maintaining your Delta files and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to start to do more and more of those maintenance operations again, so that you can focus on just the solution that you need to build and what sort of data insights that you want to get. But I think from a Synapse perspective, one thing that's going to be really awesome about this is the SaaS platform that we're going to be delivering all this through now is going to allow us to iterate much, much more quickly. With PaaS, we would release updates to the service, and then it would be 3, 4, 5 months sometimes before it would actually flow into the system. Because we're delivering this as software as a service now with the Power BI platform kind of as the base for this, you're going to see us iterate on these feature sets much, much more quickly. So, we'll see updates come out, 20, 30 updates potentially every single month on some of this stuff for a while as we start to land some of these features. So you're going to see a lot more, a lot faster innovation on the platform than what we were able to do over on the PaaS side of the world there.
So I want to add also, it's an interesting thing, like coming from the Power BI side, like Power BI has been there for a while. Power BI has done weekly updates for a long while from the service perspective, and that translates to Microsoft Fabric. So, if we have public preview was released today, next week is going to be a new release. The week after that, it's going to be a new release, and the trains are going to keep going. And so those innovations will come, as Brad said, and it's just that's part of the structure and implementation of Microsoft Fabric. It's leveraging what was already there for Power BI plus adding so much more to it.
Very exciting stuff.
The one other thing I'll mention.
Go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say the one other thing I'll mention on that side of things is all those other pieces that we've been talking about. They all just kind of exist now. Like OneLake, you don't have to go set up a OneLake. It's just part of that SaaS foundation that exists out there. You don't have to go, provision all these things to make all these different compute engines interact with each other. It's just all built in as part of the foundation. So there's a lot of things from a foundational perspective that go into this that are going to allow us to do a lot of interesting things, whether that's OneLake being able to share data across all the compute engines, or whether it's the SaaS foundation that's going to allow us to provision those compute clusters on demand and be able to scale up and down very quickly. So a lot of interesting things coming there. But Cal, go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to
that's
add
what
one
I was
thing.
gonna say. So yeah, it takes away a lot of those headaches that inherent to the platform as a service. For those of you who are working with SQL dedicated pools, know what I'm talking about, right? So the scaling. Okay, so you start with some DW, data warehouse units, right? Okay, so now is it running? Am I meeting my SLAs as far as the performance concerned? Okay, no. Okay, do I need to scale up, scale down? So all those headaches, like and the downtimes involved during those scaling and all those operations. So all such just an example of the platform as a service. So all those headaches are going to be gone away, right? So now it's SaaS. You don't need to worry about what should be my scale, what big data warehouse I need, like how many nodes I need to have behind my queries to perform quickly. So all those headaches are gone, it's automatically. So we take care of that. We based on your queries and based on your the engines you're doing, like what Brad mentioned. So we will quickly spin the services you need, and and then serve your needs. So that way, so you get the best performance versus price sweet point, without all those headaches of you managing everything about how to automate my stuff and how to take care of my platform. So all that will be gone away with software as a service.
And to add to Cal's thing,
I was
Brad?
gonna say I was gonna thank Adam Saxton real quick, because Adam has to go. He's got a big digital event.
Gotta get ready for the main event.
emceeing for. Adam, thank you. Cal and Bradley Schatt will be sticking around. Andreas, we're gonna grab you in just a second. Thanks, Adam, so much. You have a great event, sir. We will see you tomorrow.
All right.
We'll see you. Adam.
Thanks, everyone.
Get him, Adam.
Hey, Andreas, go ahead, my friend. What
No,
was
just
yours?
wanted to add to what Cal said, is that even pricing and billing is going to be easier, because basically what you're doing is you're buying capacity units, and those capacity units are going to be shared between the BI, the data warehouse, the Spark, the ML. So you're just sharing one capacity units. You can scale up. So that that theme of one ring to rule them all, I love it. Even on the capacity unit, as the SaaS component, it's a shared resource. So it just makes it easier for people, and you can go back and get granular pricing for what has been consumed for each one of those components.
Yeah, and there's more that come on that, right, Bradley?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the key things that we want to make sure of is that we understand that everybody understands that it's currently a preview service. And so there will be more to come for that. And I think we were talking earlier, we've got a lot of great links, and we have made sure that they are in the description on the YouTube broadcast. And one of those is the Azure Fabric blog. And so if you go to the Azure Fabric blog, of course, that's where all the latest and greatest announcements will be coming out about the service as they break down. We've also got links to the Learn articles. We've got them to the AKA link for the digital event, for the announcement of the digital event. And then we also have the docs articles as well. So make sure you take a look at the description, because you definitely want to be able to check out the documentation that we have and look for those things. Brad Schatt, you actually gave me the list of documents. Why don't we talk about that a little bit? What would we recommend that people go, and looking at that list of links, what should they start utilizing to be able to learn about Fabric?
Yeah, there's a ton of brand new information out there. I mean, you're going to see a lot of familiar concepts, but there's going to be a lot of questions about, if I just want to get started, how do I do that? And so in the links, there's one page in particular I want to call your attention to, and that's the Fabric tutorials. So what we've done is we put together a series of end-to-end tutorials to say, if I come in as if I come in as somebody who wants to build out a lakehouse, I'm a Spark developer. How do I get started? Well, there's a tutorial out there that walks you through how to set up a workspace, how to provision a warehouse, or how to provision a lakehouse, how to load some data in really quickly. It's really, really easy to get started and walk through each one of those. They're all step by step. So, sorry, if you're coming from the professional developer side, there's a few different tutorials out there based on whether you want to do lakehouse, warehouse, real-time analytics, or data science. If you're somebody, however, who's come from the Power BI side and you say, hey, there's a huge amount of information out here, there's all these new workloads and stuff, I don't want to get super confused about this. Just guide me through how this is relevant to my life as a Power BI professional. Then Alex, one of the guys that's out there in the chat right now, Alex and the other half of Guy in a Cube, Patrick, they work together and they put together a really awesome tutorial on Fabric for the Power BI user. So you can go out there and again walk through that. It takes about half hour, 40 minutes, get exposure to all these new different things inside the platform, walks you through everything that you could possibly want to get started. And then from there, we're going to iterate on that stuff over time and get you new content out there to help you go deeper into some of the advanced topics. And then also the page that you've got up right now, the learning paths out there, those will help you get started and kind of guide you through each one of the workloads with some concepts and things like that. So ton of training content out there to consume. I know it's a lot of information all at one time.
Yeah. So the best way to understand and appreciate the functionality is to play with it, right? So that's where, so we strongly suggest that, you can go ahead and, spin up, a Fabric workspace. You don't need a credit card. You get 60 days of trial. Just spin it up and use our guidance and tutorials we have step by step, and start keep playing with it. And don't be afraid to go, weed off the beaten path, so to speak. Like, just explore and see how far you can go with, different engines, different queries. And as you do, give us all your feedback. We appreciate and we honor your feedback. We take it seriously. So we want to know what you think about as you start working and playing with it. We want to know what do you think is missing functionality wise or features wise, what is not working or what is working good. So we want all the feedback, good and bad feedback, so we can actually incorporate that, and we can work with our engineering to make sure that we can make it even better for you.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said that, Cal, because playing with it and kicking the tires where the rubber meets the road, right? Because one of the things I found most interesting when I started working with it is all the workspace is done outside. Like, we're so used to, as admins, going into the Azure portal, doing some things in the Azure portal, and then switching over to the workspace and doing some things in the workspace, and then going back over here. You don't do that anymore. That's gone. And that, to me, blew my mind. It was so confusing at first. So yeah, give the team, the product team that you have here on the call, give them to the Tales from the Field. We can get it over to them. Give them the feedback. This is how the product's going to grow. And this is how it's going to get better. And that's why the Synapse Analytics workspace is so good today, right? That was because you all provided feedback. And with Fabric, it's coming out the gate hitting heavy. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the changes and the differences in it.
So the next question that I've got, because I know personally, and I'm going to give you all a moment to think about this. I love building demos, and I love using real world data. And so I've got a ton of baseball data, and I've been using this baseball data in sessions for years for when we do modern data warehousing events. I've also got a lot of movie data and Twitter sentiment data that I've captured over time. So that way we could use something similar to that too. I am so excited to take some of these things that I've had multiple different steps. Some of this was a class when I was in Premier Developer that we used to go around and teach to folks, and it was a 4-day class, and it took hundreds and hundreds of clicks. And I can already look at this and go, I can easily do this in one day, if not a half day. And so I'm excited because all I need is publicly available data and the capability to be able to build something. And the next time that we get to go give a pre-con at a big event, we're in business, and we're going to be able to do hands-on labs with this. We're going to be able to get people up and running so quickly. Are there any demos that you've been working on? Anything that you look at this that you go, I'm really excited to play around with this and use this in the following way? Anybody have anything that they are looking at like that?
So while others are thinking about that, I just want to kind of echo something you mentioned there. Being able to get up and running on this stuff where it used to take hours sometimes, or as you mentioned, takes you a day plus to go through some of these things. I've been so impressed with how easy it is to get some of my old Synapse demos over into this environment and just up and running. Like I used to have, like I had this whole folder with a bunch of notebooks and stuff in it to do a cleanup of the Stack Overflow data and how to go clean up and load in my airline data that's got a couple hundred, a couple billion rows inside of it, New York City taxi. And it was always such a hassle to have to go in and rebuild all those data sets, then load them into my dedicated SQL pool or inside my serverless to do those demos. But like I was setting one up the other day and I just pulled up my scripts, loaded them. I didn't have to load it into a warehouse. Just build it on top of the lakehouse, go run your T-SQL queries against it, just like I always would and do the demos. And so it's going to be a lot of fun not having to worry about all those extra little things that you have to go through. And that data type, it overflowed that column on here. Well, no, all this stuff's it's all kind of taken care of and works much easier for us in this environment. So it's going to be a lot easier to get people access.
Yeah, you'll see in the digital event today, you'll see a lot of such demos and prepare to be amazed.
Oh, I'm excited about that. I love it. That's a great teaser. So, and I guess that brings me to another question, because we've got 10 minutes to go before the big digital event occurs. And remember, I'm gonna hit the banner. I'm just gonna give that alert so that way nobody else hits the banner for me. But the big digital event is going to be at aka.ms analytics at Build Digital Event. If you hit this link, it will redirect you to the Power BI YouTube channel, and the live stream will be ongoing there. The stream will be simulcast, so it's going to be on Gaia in a Cube. It's going to be on Power BI. It's going to be on Azure Synapse Analytics, all at the exact same time. So if you're on any of those channels, you're not going to miss a thing. And on top of that, we're also going to have a lot of, I think it's the whole PG, right? Fabric Cat is going to be online and available to answer questions as people have them as the digital event is occurring. So if you have questions about what you're seeing, you're going to be able to get answers for this live. Brad, Cal, are y'all going to be over there?
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, we've got dozens of people that are going to be hitting each one of those channels, monitoring the chat, answering questions, all in real time there. So if you've got questions, you want direct access to the product team, this is one of the best opportunities to get connected with folks during any of those on any one of those three channels that Brad just mentioned.
Excellent. All right. So now I'm going to do a round robin for everybody. I know that the Azure Fast Track product group, we've had access, and we've been working very closely with, I guess, do I call it the Fabric product group now? Because I'm afraid to say any other product group name. We've been working on this with everybody since about September. And of course, it was envisioned far before that. When I think about some of my favorite things to be able to play around with, I've got a couple in mind, but I'd love to go through everybody. Give me your favorite thing when it comes to Azure Fabric that you've seen that you're just excited about. Right. And I'm going to have to pick somebody randomly from the list, probably somebody wearing a hat. It may have Minnie Mouse patterns and design. Oh, Josh Ludeman. Josh, I'm going to go with you. There we go.
For me, really, it's more of a principle than a feature. It's the whole principle of bringing everything into one space and really focusing on what you where you're going to work out of, where everything's going to be. I think especially with cloud and how it's really like an a la carte kind of architecture, a place to architect solutions, having something that is truly set it down, that's where you work without, a lot of cobbling and chaining everything together. For me, that's the piece that wins my heart over.
Excellent. Niraj, how about you, buddy?
So, I've been playing around with Fabric from almost 2 months now. The best part was the demo that is coming up soon today, and just a Twitter that we did it in 4 minutes, we were able to go from ingestion to visualization, and that was the fastest part that excited me up right away. And yeah, as Josh said, right, it's the whole architecture coming together, right? I don't have to worry about scaling up my Spark pools or dedicated pools, and it's too many things to do, right? When you are doing development and also thinking about that thing. So everything is happening in the background. All you are worried is you do your pipelines or do your visualization, and it does things in the background, which is the really cool part of it.
Absolutely. And Niraj, I think Niraj and I actually cut a video. It's going to get dropped on our channel a little bit later today. And it is an introduction to Fabric. And we talk about some of the things we've talked about today on the show. But when it came down to the ingestion demo, right? And think about this for 10 seconds. What I did was I went out and I created a data warehouse. I just had a countdown go off in my in the background. It looks like it's a 50-second countdown, which is interesting, and that's over on the Fabric digital event site. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. But real quick, what we were doing is we created a data warehouse. We created a pipeline. We ingested data. We brought it into the data warehouse. We then visualized the data, and we did that, and it was under 3 minutes when that began. So. Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff that end to end we could do so quickly. I'm going to throw this up and I'm going to share this screen real quick because as you can see, we've got the countdown occurring. Adam may be going live here pretty soon. We got about 10 seconds to go. This is the big event and this is the link that we want to get at. What we'll do is we'll probably end the broadcast early if it cuts straight over to him because this is where you want to go. This is where you want to be today. Oh, it was such a tease. 10 seconds countdown to a 15-minute countdown. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, we'll go back to the previous view.
Yeah. And so when, I think Brad Schatt, one of the questions I had too, as we continue through is, really, do you have a couple places where, folks can give feedback or connect with resources and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's a few really great ways because as Cal mentioned, we only have the product that we have today and what we're doing with Fabric because of all the feedback that we've gotten from everybody out there that's used the platform before. Synapse was a big step forward where we started to unify and bring things together. Fabric just takes that and goes to the complete next level. And so there's a few places. One, if you're going through any of the content and you want to give some feedback, head over to the Fabric community, and that's linked in the show notes here today. You'll be able to go out there and post on the message boards and everything and give feedback over there. There's also a link to the Power BI Reddit where Alex from the CAT team, he's one of the moderators on there and is really active in making sure that questions get answered and those sort of things. Reach out to all of us on any of the social media channels, whether that's on Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever. We're always happy to gather feedback from you and make sure that we're incorporating that in the future. And then also coming to places like this, coming to the Tales from the Field channel. If you guys don't start doing the tech bits on Fabric stuff, then I'm going to have to come to Orlando and fight you for that or record some myself and send them over to you or something. But I'm sure you guys will have plenty of content out there. Obviously, Patrick over on the Guy in the Cube channel, he's going to probably start to shift some of that Synapse content that they do every week over to Fabric content. So, hit the Tales from the Field guys. We talk with them very frequently. We'll get the feedback through them. Hit up Adam and Patrick over on Guy in the Cube. Any place and every place that you can possibly find anybody from the Fabric team or the folks from Fast Track here, by all means, reach out to us. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, so one quote, I want to bring up one quote from yesterday for those of you who attended the Build event. Do legendary shit, right? So yeah, so we can't wait for you to do the legendary shit with Fabric, and we can't wait to be part of that. So we'd like to see, what you can do, and again, bring all the feedback and through the different channels, and we will take it. And we want to make sure that you can do that legendary shit with our product, and can't wait to see.
I love it. Do legendary shit. That is that is the theme that we've got going on. And speaking of, it is definitely live. So if you got 7 minutes and 50 seconds while you're waiting for a 15-minute countdown, go take a look at Niraj and I. We've got an introduction to Fabric out there, and it is a lot of fun. And again, we do a very quick build. We show how in less than 4 minutes that you can go from integration to data warehouse. The product is just absolutely amazing. And Cal, I absolutely love it. Yeah, go out there, do epic shit with this stuff. Let's get it done. That being said, we are in the last 10 seconds. Anybody got some closing thoughts? And then we're going to sign off, and we're going to have people go over to the launch. Enjoy the countdown at the launch. And so any closing thoughts?
No, just say it's been a long journey to get here. Really excited to see what everybody does with this.
Agreed.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I'm just going to legendary thing right now, and then
I want that on a t-shirt. That's what I want. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we'll sign off with that. Thank you all so much for joining us. Remember, we've got the pre-show going tomorrow. So come back and check that out. We will have the same folks here. So ask us questions about what you saw on day one, and we were going to talk about what we're going to do on day 2. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Take care, be good to one another, and go do some legendary shit.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a